I'm like ready to convert to Catholicism.
Literally.
Not really. No offense, Pope Leo, but keep going.
Yeah.
Do your thing.
Well, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, welcome to One Nightstand.
Thank you.
I'm thrilled to have you here.
I'm very happy to be here. I love the concept for this show,
Oh.
and I also love the title of the show.
Well, I've been having a lot of one night stands lately. What can I say? Have you always been a big reader?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I go in and out of it because if I'm working and I'm trying to memorize lines, I don't always, I don't have the brain space.
Yeah.
But recently I've been doing a lot of reading, actually.
And you're in a book club, right?
I am.
Tell me about that.
It's actually really lovely.
Oh.
It's I do it with my husband. It's a couples book club.
Oh, fun. Do you get drunk or do you drink wine or whatever while you're doing it? Or is it more like...
Yeah, we have dinner.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so who's ever chosen the book, we go to their house.
Yeah.
And then we have dinner and talk about the book.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it's been really nice. It's a great way to obviously have conversation, as you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's also funny when other people make recommendations for you. What I like about this is I read stuff I would never personally choose to read.
Uh-huh.
When someone like chooses
Yeah,
it for
but then isn't that an agony if you don't like the book?
Yeah, I mean, that's when...
That can be,
yeah.
That's a slog.
But it's also like, I don't know, I think there's something good about the like flexing the muscle of trying to articulate why you don't like something rather than just having that reaction.
Oh, totally.
And like powering through. I always try to power through.
Yeah, I get that. You know what my mom does? My mother's a big reader.
Yeah.
And I don't do this, but she always goes to the end of the book and reads the last sentence.
At the start?
Yeah.
What?
I know. Isn't that quirky of her?
That is quirky.
Yeah, and she's very intellectual and she's really well read.
What's her reason for that?
I don't know. I'm going to ask her. I actually need to ask her that question. I wish I had asked her that question.
It's unusual. Does she get anxiety? I sometimes get anxiety about how things are going to end, maybe. But the last sentence doesn't always tell you that.
No, it doesn't.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe we need your mom to be our next guest.
Oh, my mother would be amazing on this show.
Yeah.
She would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to set it up.
Yeah.
Well, we have 3 great books to talk about. Maybe we start with Olive Kitteridge by Elizabeth Strout. Tell me what you love about this book.
Well, I love everything Elizabeth Strout writes.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I've read every one of her books.
Great.
Everyone. And I think all of these books are works of fiction that I've chosen. I'm a big fiction reader.
Yeah.
And I think Elizabeth Strout, what appeals to me so much is that she is so kind and so sympathetic to her characters, even the ones who aren't necessarily likable,
totally.
Shall we say?
Yeah.
That appeals to me tremendously.
I agree.
So that's what I'm drawn to. And it's sort of a study, her work for me, particularly as an actor, is very much a study in character. And it's sort of, I feel like, kind of how I work as an actor. And so, because, even if you're playing somebody who's an asshole or misbehaved externally, internally, if you're playing that role, you can't come at it that way.
No, totally.
You have to come at it from a sympathetic place to understand the inner workings of why a person is misbehaved.
Yeah, totally.
You're not judging.
No.
There is no judgment.
There's not. And there's a lot of humor as well. Like,
it's hilarious.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it's deeply funny.
Yeah, and
deeply.
in these, like, I just love her reactions to all the small children in it, where she's like, these fuckers. And she doesn't try and hide it.
No.
Like, it's so good.
No, she's really out there with it.
Yeah.
But the thing that's such fun about Elizabeth Strout is that she takes these characters into her other books and weaves them. And then a character who might have a very small role in Olive Kitteridge will have a much larger role in, the Burgess Boys or Olive Again or whatever. And that's really fun because it's sort of like a story that never ends.
Totally.
In the way that life, well, obviously life does end, but life is ongoing and characters weave in and out of your life in the same kind of way. So I find that to be really compelling.
Yeah, it's like its own mini Marvel Cinematic Universe type vibe.
Totally. And the exploration of these relationships between characters is also particularly. And also, by the way, sorry, I'm bouncing all around, but in Olive Kitteridge, Olive's husband was Henry, right? And he is the goodest person ever.
Yeah.
And it's just heartbreaking.
I know. Adele, as Christopher's first wife, calls him. Like and then that episode part, that chapter where she like puts the black marker on his wife's jumper and like, and she like fucks up all her stuff to get in her head.
Yeah. She's completely out of control.
It's so good though. I mean, and reading it, like you say, you're somehow rooting for her. It really is a feat of engineering.
It is a feat of engineering. Yeah. It's a feat of compassion.
Yeah. There's a lot of the book is about her relationship with her son and like the sort of push and pull and tension of that. Like, I know that you're a mother to 2 boys. Do you ever feel any of that? That sort of like the push and pull of, wanting to set them off, but also like feeling that connection still.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Also because the relationship, I was thinking about this just the other day, the relationship between a mother and a son is incredibly unique, needless to say. But, I come from all girls.
Same.
And there's a physical closeness that I can still have with my mom and my dad or my stepdad. That I think to a certain extent is not available in the same way with a boy. And it doesn't mean we're not close. I'm very close to both of my kids. I mean, it's been the joy of my life, and it's been the biggest adventure of my life because I came from all these girls. So all of a sudden, these boys who had a whole different way of, in my experience, a different way of playing and a different way of sort of going into the world that was completely unfamiliar to me. And now it's very familiar and very, it's everything.
Yeah, totally. I mean, one of the anxieties for Olive in the book, or not anxieties, but I think like pressure points is Christopher's like relationships and like and the relationship she has with his like wives and girlfriend and like the way that changes the relationship between her and her son as well, and the sort of boundaries there. And I mean,
boundaries.
The boundaries are interesting. I mean, I'm single, but I have 2 sisters and they both have husbands. And I see it with my parents where like, I can tell that there's some stuff they would say to my sister if they were on their own that they wouldn't say when their husbands are there, just because they're trying to sort of respect that there's a difference, I guess.
Yeah, there is a difference. Yeah. And it has to be respected.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the thing about being a parent. It never ends.
Yeah. In a good way?
Yes, in a good way. But in a way that I wasn't really understood by me until now.
What's the biggest challenge you think of being a parent to adult children versus like children?
Letting go, I guess.
Interesting.
I mean, of course you've let go, but you're just enjoying their ride. You have nothing to say about it.
Oh, nothing. Do you really have nothing to say? I mean,
well, I have plenty to say, but it's not for you.
Exactly.
You have to relinquish control.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean,
but you're on the sidelines should they, need any kind of coaching or anything. Yeah. You stand at the ready.
That's exactly. But I think that's the best parenting. I always know my parents are there, and I think that's such a gift.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Because
do your parents live in the UK?
Yeah. And they hate coming to America, so they don't come here. But I go to see them a lot, which is nice at least. But it is that security of knowing that even though I make a lot of decisions I'm sure they don't agree with, they sort of like...
Do they hate coming here because our government is so horrible?
I think, honestly, my mom was a carer for people with learning difficulties as her job. And she and my dad was a teacher for kids, and they found the homelessness stuff in New York really difficult. And especially how many people were homeless who clearly had either learning difficulties or were disadvantaged. And they were like, I don't understand how are these people on the street. And I think that really shaped their view of what America was like. And I was like, well, I'll take you to a nice restaurant. But it's sort of it's dark, isn't it? Yeah. The sort of dissonance between those two things.
The haves and the have-nots.
Exactly. It's brutal. But I'm curious, in the book, she talks about these Olive talks about these big bursts and little bursts, and life having these like big moments, which are your sort of like marriage and kids or whatever, and these little joys where she talks about having like a really friendly like assistant at a store, or like a nice waitress who like smiles at you or something, and like those small pleasures. I'm curious what for you might be some of your like little bursts of joy.
Oh gosh.
It's a hard one, isn't it? Like,
well, but they abound.
Yeah.
You just have to keep your eyes open for them, right?
Yeah.
But the idea of a little burst is, first of all, the phrase is so exquisite, so well chosen, and it makes me think of some yummy taste in your mouth that bursts forth and you didn't expect it, and all of a sudden your palate is greatly amused.
Totally. Mine is often like when I'm reading and you get to a line that so perfectly describes something that you've thought but not been able to articulate yourself, and then you're like, that. It's such a feeling.
Oh, yeah. It's like getting a puzzle piece in a puzzle.
Exactly. That's a good little burst. I love it. I love
that's a good burst.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I like to play Wordle so much.
Ooh, you're a Wordle person.
Oh, yes. But I mean, I think it's a tiny burst. Once you get the word, it's a kick. It's a kick. It's a little burst.
It is. My dad sent me a screenshot of his this morning, and I was like, well, guess I'm not doing it today. Because he was like
he didn't send you just the results.
Oh, no. He sends me, he was like, this was a good guess, wasn't it? I was like, yes, good for you. Well done, Clive. I know.
Did he get it, and how many?
I think he got it in 4, but it is quite an unusual word today. Have you done it?
I have done it.
Yeah,
yes,
so
I was greatly flummoxed by it.
Right.
I got it in 5 today.
Okay, yeah, so his was 4, and he was clearly feeling smug about it. So there we go. But one of the ideas, so in your movie, The Sheep Detectives, which I watched this morning, the idea of this memory thing and like the sheeps being able to choose like what they remember and don't remember, I thought it's such an interesting concept, like especially in the treatment of a book like Olive Kitteridge, where there's, for example, that one chapter where the guy is considering suicide and Olive gets in the car with him and like talks about her father, and I don't know, it's a kind of
and by the way, that Olive does that.
Yes.
That Olive does that.
And she sort of sees that, like,
she recognizes his pain.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes me almost cry thinking about it.
It is
and
so
this
moving.
Character who's so unlikable, and then it does make me cry. I'm crying thinking about it.
And she also, like, in helping him, doesn't try to be more likable. She's like, I'm sitting here in the car and I'm just like being myself. I'm moving the seat back. I'm like,
totally.
Oh,
yeah. It's warts and all, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, what?
But where do you stand on the sort of like, are you good with sitting with uncomfortable memories, or would you like hit that button of being able to get rid of them if you could, like the sheep?
Oh, yes. Oh, I'd love to get rid of them.
Would you? Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that.
No, I know. Unfortunately.
But yeah, I think uncomfortable memories are exactly that. And I think the human brain is sort of set up to go back to them a lot.
Yeah.
It's hard to, there's a reason that negative memories stay longer than positive ones.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here trying to think of little bursts, but I can tell you when I screwed up something really bad.
Exactly. I can remember exact feedback I got when I was 21 about something.
Exactly.
Isn't
that interesting
so
in the
true.
brain?
Mm-hmm.
However, understanding where you've been, including the negative, and really peeling back the layers on it is the only way forward.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of what the sheep sort of get to in the end as well. They like,
oh, for sure.
They don't need to evaporate to clouds in the sky, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
But it's a very fun movie. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, it's dear.
It's
and
really
I think
sweet.
The end is particularly sweet.
It's so sweet.
Yeah.
I thought the Nicholas Bourne as the policeman was very funny as well. The sort of hapless figure.
Yeah, he was
truly
great.
Hapless. Well, next I thought we could talk about Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan, which is another incredible book. Tell me what you love about this one.
Well, it's so restrained. It's a tiny little book.
Yeah.
The book is a small thing like this. It's, first of all, what a great cover.
Yeah.
It's like, it's that block print that I adore. I love this book because it's so restrained. It's so, her choice of words is so spot on. Again, it explores agony and kindness and pushes back against the man, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's menacing. I mean, the way she writes the mother at the institution, like
the Magdalene
laundry. Yeah, the way she writes when she's talking to him about his daughters, and he's basically threatening him, being like,
oh yeah,
hopefully they'll be here, but there's not much space. Like, it's so well done.
Yes, it's terrifying.
It's terrifying,
and he exercises such bravery.
Yeah,
stoic.
Mm-hmm.
He barely speaks.
Yeah.
in the book. It's his actions that are so remarkable, including the very end.
Oh,
I know.
It's really, it's so moving, and so and I feel like it captures so well the way that sometimes action can overtake thinking without you. Like he just knows he wants to do this thing, and
he knows the right thing to do.
Exactly.
He exercises moral courage.
Yes.
So it's a nice book to read right now, where it feels as if
it's like a dearth or a short supply. Yeah.
Yes, there is a dearth of morality right now and moral courage, and it's nice to read a story about somebody who really does the right thing against an institution that is so baked into the culture that it feels as if you are underwater and can't get out.
Totally.
That you really can't get out from under, which I think is the way a lot of people feel.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I didn't really grow up with any religion.
Yeah.
No, did you?
Well, yeah, my parents actually met at church. But they both, my dad isn't
Catholic?
No, Methodist, weirdly, but wasn't really I don't notice any denominational differences, but I think it was more cultural in the 70s in Britain, and that's just where they went to socialize.
Nice.
But I don't know. Yeah. But I did grow up going to church, and then I remember saying to my dad, I just don't think I believe in this. It's neither do I, but I think it can bring out the good in people. And I was like, oh, that's kind of sweet.
Yeah. It is a way of being together. That's for
exactly.
sure.
And it's kind of interesting seeing this new Pope talking of Catholicism and how he's sort of taking that office and using it in a different way.
No kidding.
Right?
Yeah.
Some of the tweets this week were blowing my mind.
Yeah. Speaking truth to power. Let's do it.
I know, quite. Yeah. It's radical.
I'm ready to convert to Catholicism. Not really. No offense, Pope Leo, but keep going.
Yeah.
Do your thing.
But wasn't that a scene in the Sheep Detectives where they get to the church and they're talking about they were like, what's God? And they were like, oh, well, it's the thing that you eat on a Sunday or whatever. I thought that was very funny.
Yeah. It's like when I was little, my grandmother had a neighbor who was Catholic, and I was a very girly girl, and she would wear a lace thing on her head to go to church, and I was like, I gotta go to that church. I want to wear one of those lace things. So I went with her, and she let me wear a lace thing on my head that I think it went over my face and down the back, and I felt like $1,000,000. That got me to church.
Wow, yeah, good veil. I love that.
Loved it.
Oh, that's so fun. Yeah, that's amazing. That book also, I think, is so good at the sort of how claustrophobic but also lovely a small community can feel. Like the scene at the end where he's going around dealing out the coal at Christmas, and people are being like, can I hire you next time? And then those who can are also trying to give him a bit more money. But you live in LA, right?
I actually don't. I live in Santa Barbara, California.
Oh, okay. So yeah. And do you like being part of a smaller community, or do you like being in a sort of bigger space?
I like both.
Yeah.
I mean, if I live when I'm here in New York City, you have your community of friends and so on. But I think small town living is probably not something that I could do for super long. Could you?
No.
Mm-mm.
I don't think so. Mm-hmm. I think I'd find it too everyone. I like the anonymity of a city.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, his connection to the people and the sort of generosity that he exhibits and they exhibit is very desirable.
Yeah, totally. It's there's definitely a balance for sure.
Yeah.
Does working in entertainment feel like a community ever, or does it feel
totally?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and sometimes it's a good community, and sometimes it's not a good community. But when you're working on a film or a show or whatever, even a play, you do create a pretty tight knit community, because well, it's sort of like being on a team, a
Yes.
sports team, because you're all sort of working towards a common goal. And I would imagine you feel like it here doing
Totally.
this show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is everybody reading these books with you when you're
No, just
your
me.
one-man band when
Well,
it comes to that?
I have my colleague Sophie who helps me research them, but yeah, I tend to read them on my own.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But the working with a bunch of people, like I say, towards a common goal is a very bonding experience,
sure.
needless to say. And also as an actor, when you're working with other actors, and it's like being inside an Elizabeth Strout book. You're pulling back layers on character and having a discussion about that and exploring different ways of being authentically your character or in a scene, or and that is a very bonding experience. Yeah.
Is that also like for a show like Veep, where you are sort of like leading it and really at the helm? Does that feel like a pressure to like shape the culture of that community?
It does. It does feel like a pressure, but it's one that I happily take on because I like the people I work with so much, and I like the thing we were doing so much. I mean, it was so enjoyable.
Yeah, you can feel that, I think, when you watch it, that it feels like everyone was having a good time.
We were having a good time. It was a lot of hard work, and it was a lot of hours, but it was well worth it.
Yeah. I mean, it's iconic.
Thank you.
Your third book is The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. Tell me what you love about this one.
I've actually now read that book twice because I read it when it first came out, and then and then it was my book choice for our book club.
Oh, fabulous.
For my very first choice for book club. And I think it's a masterpiece.
It is.
And it explores life in a sort of Jim Crow era Florida, a boy's what do you call they call it an academy, but
that's based on a real one in Florida.
That was called Dozier.
Yes, exactly.
In Florida back in the 60s and 70s. Actually, it'd been around for even longer. I think it was ultimately shut down in the late 70s or something. Maybe later.
Yeah. Oh God. I mean,
but it's where they sent kids who were misbehaved, boys who were misbehaved, and black boys who were misbehaved. Yeah. And it's a crushing story. But what I think he does so deftly is he allows the reader to have hope, like your main character has hope in this story, Elwood Curtis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his name. And this young boy is naive and is optimistic and is good-hearted, and he's a big believer in the goodness of people. Yeah. And so you are rooting for him, and you want to believe along with him. And our wonderful writer Colson Whitehead does an extraordinary trick that I won't say. For those who haven't read it, you need to read the book. Yeah. But there's an incredible trick he does at the end of this book that is, I mean, I don't think I've ever read anything quite as, it's a sleight of hand that is, you do not see coming.
Completely agree. Yeah, and it's so deft and so sort of like, it knocks you sideways.
It does. Mm-hmm. It's a way of understanding the racism in a way that is it's a blow.
Yeah,
it's a blow, but it's a very important book to read. I think
I agree.
In fact, I had the great honor of running. I saw Colson Whitehead a couple of times, and the first time I met him, I had just finished reading this book, and it knocked my socks off. And I went up to him to say, I have to tell you, I've read this book. And of course, I start to say, I have to say, and then I started to cry uncontrollably. I could barely get the words out because that's how moved I was by his writing.
And it must have been amazing reading it a second time, knowing what happens at the end as well. Like, it's quite a different experience.
Yeah, but it's sort of like, Romeo and Juliet. I mean, you keep hoping he's going to get the letter.
So true. Yeah, it's so true. I know. Are you a big book rereader?
No, are you?
No, not really. but I like keeping them. And it just reminded me, because someone once sent me, because I like having all my books in my part, that scene from Seinfeld where it talks about what is this obsession people have with books. They put them in their houses like they're trophies. What do you need it for after you've read it? And I was like, I do quite like going back into them, but so I was just curious if.
Oh, well, I feel when a book really moves me,
Yes.
I feel a personal connection to it.
Yes.
So I have to have it on my shelf.
Yeah, it is a little trophy in a way of like what you sort of.
Yeah, well,
have been moved to.
it's you've given a lot of your time and your brain to it.
Yeah.
And it's moved you.
Yeah.
And so you need to have it close.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, I would reread. I would read this a third time. I would
Yes.
read all these books again.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, especially with Olive Kitteridge, you really can go in and just read some of the short stories in that kind of way.
Completely.
It's so special.
Yes.
It's really striking. Have you watched the Nickel Boys adaptation or any of that? I mean, all of these have been adapted, actually.
Oh, yeah, they have.
Yeah.
God, I hadn't even thought of
No.
that. Well, I started to, and in fact, a good friend of mine, Hamish Linklater, played the bad guy in Nickel Boys, and I watched it, and the only way I could get through it was knowing that Hamish is not a bad person in real life.
Yeah.
And I had to sort of keep looking away and thinking, oh yeah, Hamish is a good guy. He's a good guy.
Oh.
It was rough.
But it is hard, isn't it? When you,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine when you actually know the people in real life, but there's some, you do occasionally just get hit sideways by it.
Yeah.
But
Cillian Murphy did a great job.
he did.
I thought.
I mean, I've only seen part of that. I haven't seen the whole thing, but he always does such a great job.
Well, but you can see his character playing that character.
Oh.
I mean,
Easily,
without
yeah.
even seeing the movie.
No,
you know.
totally. And he does so well with so few words as well.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think we're at time, but thank you so much. This was such a pleasure.
It was such a pleasure to talk to you. And there's so many other books that we
I
could have
kn-
discussed. It
I
was hard
know.
to come up with a group.
I know we'll have to do round 2 sometime next time you're out and about. But no, it's been such a joy, and I loved all of these books, and the Sheep Detectives was so fun, and I really enjoyed, had such a giggle watching it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. And I thanks for the opportunity to come. It's such a nice way to have a conversation and talk about things that aren't stupid.
Aren't stupid. Exactly. That's what we love. No stupid.
No stupid here.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.